during that time was a lot of shedding, releasing. And it can feel really hard, but just know when you are releasing that, it's because new exciting things are coming in. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Roman Collective podcast. I'm Trisha, I'm your host. I am also the founder of the Roman Collective. I am a certified human design reader and an intuitive. So thank you guys so much for joining in today. I was really trying to think about what I was wanting to share today. And I've kind of been on a little episode arc of sharing a lot more of my story the past few years because I was going through a Saturn return. If you know, you know. And it was a very intense time where I felt like so many areas of my life were really dismantled down so I could rebuild up. And a lot of things were moving and shifting and like getting me into new areas. And so one of the main areas I felt like was a very pivotal moment was moving and moving across the country. I really was feeling called to have a new transformation. Like I felt like something in a place was just not resonating with me anymore. And so I really want to kind of give you guys the overstructure of like, what kind of led me to that decision? How did that look? How did I start to rebuild my life here in Austin? And sort of like the trajectory of all of that. Because I think moving is something that so many people can relate to. I think especially now in this day and age, I think so many people are moving. They're on the go. You're going to different cities. I think it's just people are a lot more like out and exploring more. And this can even resonate even if you're feeling like my environment is feeling a little bit off, or I'm just feeling like I need to change something a little bit in my life. So my hope for all of these episodes is that there's something in this that you really take with you and it resonates and feels like it can spark something within you. If you are feeling a little bit stuck, if you are feeling like, oh, I'm ready for like a new change, and you're kind of feeling like that scared fear, just know that I have felt all of those feelings, and that is where I was, and it took me some steps to be able to feel comfortable to get ready to like catapult into the next chapter. But anything that you are often feeling of like, this just isn't feeling like it's resonating anymore, or like something, if you just know it's shifting, trust that feeling. Trust it because it's there for a reason. And sometimes we have to go to different places to really be able to bring so much more opportunity into our life. Sometimes we just need a change of scenery. Sometimes things just feel like they're a little, they've run its course, so to speak. So the journey takes us, and I was living in Chicago. I had moved to Chicago right after I graduated college, and I always wanted to live in a big city. And Chicago is where my sister was living at the time. And so I would go and visit a lot when I was living, or when I was in college, and I always fell in love with Chicago every time I would go. I just loved the train, the lake, everything about it. It just felt so vibrant and exciting. And I felt like it was the perfect place for me to go to right after college. And I ended up getting an internship. I moved there right after school. And I was there for 6 years. And I adored my time in Chicago. I had such amazing friends. I had so many experiences. I was so grateful that I was able to live with my sister, and we were able to really have more of that bonding time together. So there's so many great opportunities and just so much that came out of Chicago that I was so eternally grateful for. And it was something that I think was slowly starting for when I was ready to leave Chicago. It was kind of something that was bubbling up, and it wasn't one particular moment where I was like, I'm done, I want to leave here. I think it was just kind of slowly over time. The environment was just not resonating with me anymore. I just felt a little trapped there, and I felt like I wanted to do more. And so, as you know, living in a big city, there's not as much nature around. There's a lot of activities, but I guess not the type of activities and things I was wanting to do. It felt a very drinking, eating forward type city, which love. That is so much fun. I love to be able to do that. I think my life was starting to take a different trajectory where I was like not really wanting to drink anymore. I was, kind of on like a different health journey for all of that too. And so I just felt like where I was starting to feel like in the chapter of my life, it was not feeling like it was a place that was thriving for me anymore. And I just felt like the city was very, it just felt like everything took so long to do, like to be able to go to the grocery store and then you had to like plan out, I'm going here, I'm going there. I just like, there's just so much wasted time. It just felt very crowded. There was a few years, which I know COVID was a terrible time. But it was nice in the regard of Chicago when you could go out and run errands. There was like no one on the roads. So I think that also kind of helped me stay a little bit longer because we had some of that time where it felt like a very different city and it felt, a little bit more like you had more of that freedom to roam. And I was just starting to feel so trapped and I was just like, I need to get out of here. And I had felt that for like over a year. And I remember kind of being in that in between of feeling a little bit stuck. So I share this because if you were also in a town, those to me were kind of the signs that I knew I was ready for a change. I was starting to feel just like I just wasn't happy, but it wasn't something that I was like, oh, like I know we're humans. We have a lot of emotions that come and go, but it was something that was very consistently where I was just like, nothing that was bringing me joy in the city is bringing me joy. Where I used to love taking the train. I used to love, having so much to do, having a big city. And like those ended up kind of being the things that were, I almost like want to say like I was kind of resenting Chicago on. I was starting to get very frustrated around it. And that is when I started to take a look and I was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I think maybe this is time for a new environment change, for a shakeup, for something that I am really wanting to call in. And so I think it was a lot of stuff that was happening subconsciously. And then consciously, I was starting to realize like, wait a minute, it's time to look for a new chapter, a new place to really be able to expand and to try new things and to have a new experience. Because I think sometimes, it's nice to get that change of environment because sometimes you can feel a little bit stagnant. Sometimes you can feel a little just like trapped in place. And sometimes bringing a new environment in helps so much because it just feels like there's just like a new energy that rushes in for you, that you can feel more of that vibrance and aliveness and that excitement again. And so I remember I was leaving work one day and I saw a sign and it said, something's coming, something good. And a bus passed by with 333 on it at exactly that moment. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I remember stopping in my tracks and I was like, whoa, okay, this is a sign. I felt like this was something that I really needed to start following. And then after that, intuitively, somehow I was just naturally feeling drawn to Austin, Texas. Like I was like meeting people who were living in Austin. I kept seeing Texas license plates. I never really was like, oh, I'm going to live in Austin. Like that was never like a place on my radar. I was again very focused on Chicago, but then I was starting to feel more like I'm going to open up my lens. I'm going to open up what I've been looking at and what I've been waiting for. And I'm going to like see if this is maybe an opportunity. And I had a couple cities in mind. I had written down like a pro and con list of what I was looking for in a city. And I was like wanting something that was like a more of a mid-size, that was a little bit easier to get around. I wanted more greenery, more nature, more outdoor activities to do. I wanted warmer weather. That was a big one. That was the other thing too that was really tough in Chicago. You only get the summers there for nice weather. And then around the year, it is like gloomy and cold. And especially in the winter, it would get dark at like 4 p.m. It was so hard. So that was another thing too. That was also like, okay, I know this about myself. Like I thrive when it's sunny out. The sun literally gives me energy. I feel like it just fills me up. I feel so much more like I want to go do things. It just brings me a lot of joy and happiness. And when it's gloomy very consistently, that gets bad for me. That's when my mental health starts to go a little bit like, oh, I don't really want to do anything. I just feel just kind of like mopey, you know? So warm weather was a huge one for me because I really wanted somewhere that was more sunshine, warmer weather, something that just felt a little bit more, you know, where you can just like enjoy the days. People are just a little bit naturally happier because the sun is out. And I had all these listed down, and I was starting to kind of like intuitively look at some different cities. And the ones that were on my list were Charlotte, Nashville, and Austin. And so I decided to, because I very much like, I have to be in a place, like I have to feel it. I have to know if this is like a place for me. Like I need to actually physically be in the surrounding location because I need to like do my activities. I need to figure out, do I see myself living here? Does this feel correct? Does this feel like I'm ready to bring in this new opportunity? And so I decided to actually travel to all of those locations and to see if like this was something that I felt like was resonating, if I was like excited about. And so my friend and I, a couple months later, we ended up taking a trip to Nashville. We did a little girls trip. And so we went, and Nashville was great. I think it was really fun. I just felt like I wanted a body of water, and it was a little too country for my own personal taste. I think it was very, very country music forward, which again, no shade, love all music. It's just not my forte, not my genre. And so I was like, okay, this is like good to know. I felt like it was also, again, a very like drinking heavy city for where we were going. And so I was like, okay, there's something that, you know, I appreciate coming here and traveling to as a vacation destination, but not maybe like necessarily living. And so then again, I was like, kind of like always was intuitively feeling just still called to Austin. Even after I went, I was like, I haven't even been to Austin, but I already feel like I could see myself living there. And so I just honored that, and I trusted it, and I followed it. And there's so many crazy signs. I remember I was in the airport about to go to Austin, and I was like, the flight next to us was leaving to go to Charlotte. And then there would be like a flight that was like going to Nashville. There'd be like so many of those little signs that kept happening. And I like, again, kept meeting people from Texas, and just like I used to be out at yoga classes, and a girl would have like an Austin, Texas on her sweatshirt. Just things that I felt like were very much like placing me to follow the thread, right? To actually land up here. And so I get on the plane to go to Austin. I like was doing a solo trip. And I get on the plane, and we land in Austin, and we landed at exactly 3:33 on the clock. And I was just like, oh my gosh, okay, I feel like this is it. Like, this is my town. Because even before I was visiting, I felt so excited. I was already planning all these things I was going to do. I was looking at different areas, and how I know, if you guys, you can go back and listen to the human design episode that I had, but I am a sacral generator. So what that means is I have to follow what lights me up, and I follow my gut feelings. So my gut feelings, I know things in an instant. And I think my gut, every time I was thinking about Austin, I remember just feeling so lit up. Like I just felt so excited. Like I could just feel and sense this energy, even if it wasn't happening yet. Like I knew it was going to happen in the future, but I could just sense that it was coming. And so we landed at exactly 3:33, and I would just kind of chuckle, and I was like, of course we did, because this is my town. I already knew. And so we landed, and I was, I had a couple friends here that I was meeting up with and stuff, and I was randomly at this place in South Austin, and I was getting breakfast, and I was about to go somewhere, and I was in my rental car, and I see a girl that I went to college with run past me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like she was like, what are you doing here? I was like, I might move here. And I hadn't seen her since we graduated college. And I was like, the fact that she just happened to run past my car when I was in that area was so wild. And I kept seeing so many angel numbers when I was here. I was seeing like 333, 555, 222, like all of them. I was seeing them constantly. And I just felt, again, comfortable here. Like I felt like yes, it was a new environment, but I felt like I could see myself living there, and just like living in Austin, and just being able to like expand and being able to really build a life here. And so I go back to Chicago. And I had a trip to Charlotte as well. So I already had gone to Austin. I already kind of had a feeling like, okay, I really want to move here. I think my mind's already made up. And so I also did another solo trip to Charlotte. And Charlotte was great. I mean, it was very beautiful. I do love North Carolina. Who knows, maybe in the future I'll end up over there. But when I was in Charlotte, it was a lot of fun, and I had a couple friends I met up with, and I actually drove to Asheville, which was beautiful. And towards the end of the weekend, I felt a little bored. And again, no shade on the city. I think it was a great city. I also just was a little bit like, where's the body of water? Like, I realized that was important to me. Like, for some reason, I don't know if it's because I'm like a Pisces, but I just needed water surrounding. I was like, I just need some body of water or something. And that is kind of where the caveat was for Nashville and Charlotte. I feel like there wasn't really like a place to go to hang out where there was like water, just something that was like kind of in the city, And so I felt like a little more landlocked. And so I already kind of was like, all right, Austin is it. Like I'm so grateful that I was able to go to all those different cities. My friend called it the tour of America, for me, because I was exploring and checking out all these different areas. And so I felt like for me that was so helpful because it gave me a chance to actually like kind of act out a scenario of like, okay, can I actually see myself living in this space? And do I like this town? Do I like the activities that are here? Does this feel like it resonates for me? Like I felt like I need to physically be in these spaces. So if you were on the fence of moving to a location or a place, you could always just go and check out different cities. And then you could always figure out like, okay, what did I like about it? What did I not? What resonated with me? What didn't? What felt like I was so excited about? And what is something that I am like, okay, well, I'm wanting a little bit more of. So that was also great too. You could always just compare. I felt like that was super helpful for me, so I could actually like foresee myself, and then it also feels a little bit more comfortable when I actually move to it. So that way I could be like, okay, I've been here before. I kind of know the lay of the land. Now I feel ready to really step in and to move. And so I just remember it was such a hard in between time when I went back to Chicago. So I had visited Austin in September and Charlotte in October. And then I was moving at the end of May, early June for Austin. And I was just feeling, it was really hard, honestly. Those like few months waiting where there's something really tough when you're kind of in an in-between phase. When you know a chapter is wrapping up, but you're still in it. And then you're kind of waiting until the new beginning happens. And it was honestly really tough because I was really wanting to start a new chapter, but I was also feeling held back. And there was just this sort of like friction and also like a little bit of resentment towards the city that I was frustrated that I was still stuck there. And I had such a wonderful friend group. Like I really had amazing friends. I had such, I already kind of felt like I had my groove, right? Like I had my places that I would go to. I had all of my, like my dentist, my hair, my nail, like all those people were already like there, right? So I did feel in a certain regard, like settled in that sense. And so that was really hard to leave. I think that was the hardest thing, was like leaving a lot of my friends and relationships and friends that I've built and all of that. And it was really tough to be able to step away from all of that. And there was also times where that time felt very lonely because I felt like I was going through this transition and a lot of other people weren't. And a lot of people were loving Chicago and they wanted to stay there. And I felt like I was kind of like on the other end where I'm like, I just want to get out of here. And so I feel like there was some loneliness in that regard of like knowing that like I was kind of like the one who was really wanting to like leave and go do something new. So I remember I really tried to enjoy my time and just make the most of it. And let me tell you, that was really hard to be able to just sit down and to just feel like, accept it and be like, okay, I am here for a few more months. I know so much is coming. I know I'm eager to start this change, but this is an in-between phase where I do need to just enjoy my time in Chicago. And who knows, there might be moments that I'll miss it and times that I will miss things about it. Like I miss the lake so much. I miss my neighborhood. For those who've lived in Chicago, I was a North girly. I loved Lakeview. I lived there like my entire time. I loved walking on Southports where we had all these shops. So there was a lot of places I was very fond of. And I had so many good memories. And especially when my sister and I lived together, we had so many crazy stories and just so much, so many exciting things that had happened during that time. And so I was eternally grateful to my time in Chicago. And I just knew that it was time for a new chapter, a new place to go. And I really felt just ready to start a new place. And it was just hard. It was honestly hard just being able to be that in between. And so if you were also an in between, I see you. I know how it could just feel like you want to go do things. Like I almost wanted to start dating, but then I was like, well, what's the point? Because I'm going to be leaving in a few months anyway. And so there was like stuff like that, right? Where I was like, I don't really want to start things because I'm like kind of leaving. And so you're just kind of like in this in between floating around phase. But here's what is so great about the in between. The in between gives you some time to really prep and to also prepare your next identity and to shed. That's also hard. During that time was a lot of shedding, releasing, and it can feel really hard, but just know when you are releasing that, it's because new exciting things are coming in. And I used to fear the unknown. I still sometimes do. And I used to feel like the unknown was just this terrible thing that was so bad and so scary. But then I forgot that the unknown is where all possibilities lie. So in the unknown, the new chapter I was going to, I realized that there's so much waiting for me, but I also really enjoyed the comfort of the known. And so I just tried to relish in that a little bit longer before I was, more so like pushed into a new unknown to take that leap into that new phase. So sit with the in between. It can be so, I can just remember some of those feelings so vividly. It just feels like you're kind of like almost like being, like when you have a slingshot and I feel like you're almost kind of like keep getting pulled back. You keep getting held, like you're kind of like in the waiting. And then all of a sudden you're going to be like launched forward. I just remember feeling so held back and just that resentment, that friction, that like, I just want to move. And so I just knew it was going to happen. That I had a date set, it was going to occur. I just wanted to enjoy my time while it was still there. So I leave for Austin, and it was a mix of emotions. I was very sentimental. I was also very excited for knowing what was coming. And also because I just, again, was so excited. Like I just felt like my intuition was so deeply calling me to Austin. And when so I had a flight with my cat and we flew down to Austin, and that was the most chaotic, I think, few hours of my life ever when we landed. I had gotten a new car, and again, because I had an old car and I was living in Chicago, and obviously in Austin, you're going to need more of a car to be able to drive around in. And so when we landed here, Mazda, they were coming to pick me up, and it was just so chaotic because I was on the plane and the movers were also obviously moving all my stuff in because I was going down the day that all my stuff was arriving after they took it across the country. And they got there early, so I'm still on the plane. We haven't even landed yet, and the movers are calling me like, we're here. And I was like, oh my gosh. So thankfully the building let them in, and then I landed. And I had my cat with me and my stuff and everything. And then Mazda comes and picks me up. And then I had to go get my new car. And then, I had to finish all the paperwork, and they took me to the dealership, all the stuff. And then I got my new car, and then I drove to my new apartment. And I was just like, that was the fastest 180 I've ever had in my life. I'm like, I immediately land, boom, new car, boom, new apartment. Boom, like everything was just like with a crunch in those few hours. And I was so hungry. I remember I was like just running around. I didn't even have time to eat. And I was like, okay, this is not good. I actually need to, the timing of all that was not planned. And I was like, I don't want to have to do that again. I need, especially now, I very much honor my rest and my time and my making sure I have time to eat. But I was just so dehydrated, starving. I walk in, they were basically done moving me in because it took so long. So they were essentially done. I had to pick up my keys. It was just like so chaotic and rushed. So all that, like I felt like it was kind of funny because all of that time that I was waiting felt like it was all boiled down to like a few hours. And I was just like in my apartment. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm here. Like boxes are everywhere. It just like happened so quickly. And so it took me some, some time to like unravel, to really like feel like I had a place in Austin. And for me, when I was first in Austin, I was really just trying to go out and to do things and to be in different pockets, see what I like to do, sign up for different activities. And let me tell you, some of them were hits, some of them were misses. I remember what also really encouraged the roaming collective was because I was going to all these different places and I was starting to feel frustrated because these one-off events are great, sure, but I'm like, there's no consistency piece to really build friendships. Like there's no, you just go to a thing once, meet someone great, you may or may not meet up for coffee again, and like that might be it. Like it's very rare that you meet someone and you actually consistently hang out a lot. And I felt like no one really teaches us how to make friends as an adult, and there's not really a lot of like great structures to build that around. Like everyone says, like go pick up a hobby. And yes, I'm sure when you consistently do something, it'll help bring friends. But I just felt like there was something that was just so like, I'm tired of doing the same activity and then I'm always meeting a different person. So sometimes I would go to like these different walks and they were great for the time that it was, but I would go and I would like always meet someone different and then we would do the same route every single week. And I was like, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm like, I need to like shake it up. I need to go. I need to meet different people. I need to like go places. And so I was like, okay, I need to start. This was like also really where the roaming collective came into play because I was like, I actually needed this for myself. Like there were times that I was like, I wish I had this. Like there were times that I felt so lonely because there's something when you move and there's just a familiarity of like friends that you've known for a very long time and they just get you and they know you and you kind of have to like start over on a lot of that. And that can feel very daunting, feel really scary. It can feel very lonely because you're like, now I have to catch up this person on so much of my life. And it's just so exhausting. And so starting over in that regard, it did take me some time. And for me, what helped was I was extremely grateful because a lot of my friends in Chicago actually knew some people in Austin. So they were able to get me connected. And that is how I was able to start making some friends was because a lot of connections were like, hey, go meet up with this person. We'd go meet up, we'd get coffee and we'd like, continue hanging out. So that was something that was also really helpful for me is so like getting out into your network and finding what sort of activities work for you. So really, I feel so strongly that the biggest piece is friendship, of consistency is for friendship. So if you want to build true friendships, you need to have consistency. So whatever that looks like for you, if you like to do the same activity, great, go do that. If you like to have more of a switch up, maybe try to find a group that maybe is doing different activities, but maybe it's like still within the same group of people, then go do that. And just try to see like, okay, where am I finding things? And just keep doing things that you love because that is naturally how you meet people who resonate with you because you are doing something that you genuinely enjoy and something that you were excited about, then that will attract friends and that will attract people in. And that will also help you to feel like, okay, I feel comfortable. Like I feel comfortable doing this activity. I feel excited doing it. I'm excited to go here. And that will resonate with people. So that was just my little tip for if you're, looking to rebuild your friend group, and starting over can be so hard. It can take some time to really feel like, okay, I have my people, I know my way around, and just be so gracious and gentle with yourself. Like even still sometimes now, like I feel like Austin's a very transient city where a lot of people are sometimes in and out. And so sometimes I'm like, I feel great. And then other times I'm like, oh gosh, like I have to kind of like restart a little bit. And every time I'm always like, ugh, but then I'm always like, you haven't met all the people who are excited to meet you. You haven't met all the people who might change your life. You haven't met all the people yet who might be like a really close best friend. Like you just don't know. And there's so many people out there. There's so many people who are also in the same boat. Like, especially since starting my business, let me tell you, So many of us are feeling this. Like, I can't even tell you how many people are really wanting more of that community, more of being seen, more of feeling like others resonate with them. And a lot of people struggle, not having a way to really build friendships, because think about it. When we grow up, we're very much around the same people our own age. Everyone's on the similar track. Everyone goes to school together. Everyone's around the same age. We're all, kind of dealing with the same stuff. And then once you graduate and then you're on your own, it's very different. Everyone's on their own journeys and paths. And sometimes it can feel really hard and lonely when people around that aren't resonating that, right? Like, even when that's, I think, is such a common thing that people experience too, when a lot of friends are getting married, when a lot of people are having babies, and you're just kind of like, wait a minute, like, all my friends around me are and I'm not, and it feels a little like there's a disconnect, right? And sometimes then we start to go into comparison, and you're comparing, and then you're like, well, why am I feeling behind? Should I be doing this? And that was a feeling that I have felt for a while, of feeling behind, and that was one that I've had to unravel as well. And I just know that my journey is going to look vastly different than other people's, and that's okay. Everyone is on their own journey. Everyone's on their own path. Whatever is meant for you is meant for you. Whatever is going to come in at exactly the right time is going to come in at that exact moment that you need it. And I think just trusting that released a lot of that pressure on myself, and a lot of that, I should be doing this, I should have all these friends, I should be feeling better. And that was a time that was really, I had to take a look and be like, okay, wait, I'm maybe comparing too much, and I need to instead look at what I have in my life and what I have going on. Let me just tend and water that, and really water and really honor myself, and really look inward, and really like, what am I needing to receive, and give myself that. And that really felt like I was able to then be able to be more receptive and really more open to different opportunities, places, people, like whatever. So if you are also in a similar journey, know that everything is going to happen at exactly the right moment. Things are going to align perfectly. And I feel so happy that I left. I feel very grateful that I had the time that I experienced in Chicago with all my friends. I feel so grateful that I took that leap. Like, I am so happy that I listened to my intuition, I listened to myself, and I left. And because I felt like Austin, to me, is such like a playful, energetic, it's just like an exciting city. And I just feel like there's just aliveness here. And I think a lot of people are also entrepreneurs. It's a very community-based city. So I feel like a lot of people want to support others and really are willing to like go out and do things. Like, it's just a very different vibe. And I felt like there was a lot of hardships still and a lot of growth, but I feel like I wouldn't have had that, and I wouldn't have had a lot of these like lessons and understandings if I was still just miserable, hating my life in Chicago. So I had to take this jump to go to somewhere new, because I had to trust it. I had to know it was on the other side, and I had to just really honor that my intuition, and I was being led here for some reason. Sometimes we don't always know the reason. Sometimes we don't always see the full picture. But once you're in it and then you look back, you're like, oh, that makes so much sense for why I had to come here, why I had to like do this thing that I did, why I had to make that decision. And I just feel like in Austin, I just feel so much more expansive. I just feel so much more like the sun is out. The weather's warmer. There's just so much more greenery and nature. Like, I really have found my way back to a lot more slowness. And I think that's also what my nervous system was calling for, was slowing down, where I feel like it was too much like external input in Chicago sometimes. Like, it was just chaos, and it was just exhausting my system. And so coming to Austin, I feel like I've been able to like rejuvenate a little bit more, be able to like slow down and enjoy. And I was able to get around, easier to go do things, right? And I really want to encourage you. If you are in an environment that you've outgrown, you feel like you do not resonate with, if you are getting that itch, keep following it. Just trust it, because there's something for you on the other side that is waiting for you, and it's just waiting for you to make the leap. And the leap can be so hard. And listen, like, I'm just like a normal person, right? Like, I was just a girl living in Chicago, and then now I'm just a girl living in Austin. And so I was just one day made the decision to take the leap and to take the jump. And I just want this to show you that you can do that too. You can do it. You can go anywhere in the world. You can do whatever you want. Like, especially when you start to make that decision, then things start to come into alignment because they are supporting that decision for you. So I am sending you so much encouragement, so much love, so much grace that you can do this. Anything that you want to change in your life, it's there. It is waiting for you just to make the decision. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and I'm sending you so much love and joy and abundance for the rest of your day.